So today's guest, we have Armand John Anthony, guitarist of the band Night Demon. The band's releasing a compilation package tomorrow. The 5 standalone singles from 2020, some live tracks, some unreleased stuff, and a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Armand, welcome to Metal Mayhem.
Hey, John. The Verna, what was it? The Vernamator? Sorry.
It's been said, the Vertomatic. It's
The
like
Vernomatic. That's it.
Vertomator,
Thanks.
it all works. But
Thanks for having me.
yeah, of course. I'm in upstate New York, Rochester, New York. Where are you located right now?
I'm in Ventura, California. It's hot and windy outside, so it's a beautiful day.
Well, well, it's cold and windy here, so
Yeah,
outside of 70 degrees, we're in the same atmosphere. So,
right.
all right, so we got a new release. Tell us a little bit about the compilation, and we'll dive right into it. I have notes on the original singles, and then some observation on the other stuff. So, stage is yours, my friend.
Yeah, so 2020, while everybody was, stuck at home wondering what's going on or when we could play again, we had these 5 singles come out once a month for 5 months, and it was an original song on the B side, yeah, on everyone, and it went really well. There were really limited edition, limited, quantities of those 7-inch vinyls. They all sold out right away. We had that plan in the works for a while, obviously, so it wasn't like the pandemic just gave us this idea to do this. We had already had it planned. It worked out kind of good, because if not, I don't know, we didn't have anything happening. So the compilation thing was the idea of putting all that stuff together in one place. You could obviously get the songs on all the streaming
Yeah.
services and all that, except for the B-sides. We wanted to keep those exclusive for the records. So now we're putting it all together, did a fresh new master on it and new artwork. And I'm excited. It's cool because like I said, there's only a handful of those 7 inches out there. So for the guys that like, the people that love the collectible, the physical shit, it'll be nice to have it in one place on a 12-inch and
Yeah.
killer artwork and all that. So
Now, the original vinyl releases, was that a fan club thing, a Patreon thing? Was it just record store, or it's just
no, it was mostly online through our website and through at the time we were working with the distributor, because they were all made out in Europe, because the US side of our label doesn't do any physical shit anymore. It's all digital stuff.
uh,
So every time we do physical releases, it's always coming from Europe. And we actually ran into some problems with one of the Wisteria. Uh, a couple of boxes of those went missing, and so a lot of people didn't get those physical copies, which was a huge bummer. And it was a whole debacle. And there ended up being some on eBay with some guy that was selling them. People were like,
oh
"Hey, what
man,
the hell?" I don't know if he stole a box, or this guy says, "Oh, I bought him at auction." I don't know. I buy something at auctions. And like, yeah, but to sell them for $50 a pop somehow, like it was a
yeah.
little fishy. But no, it was just, yeah, it was self-released through the label through Century Media.
Hmm.
And yeah, so I think there was about, I'm not sure if every single had 1,000 copies or around there, but man, they sold out. We didn't announce them beforehand. It's like the day of, we dropped it, released it, and whoever was paying attention that day got to get a copy.
That's cool. Let's see. So you got the 5 singles that it's original Night Demon material, but then
Right,
within on this compilation, some live stuff with Uli Roth, Scorpion
right,
fame, and
right.
then Searthungle cover, a Thin Lizzy cover, and an Iron Maiden cover. Before we
Yeah.
get into the original observations, my take, why those bands and how'd those come about, and where were they recorded live?
Okay, well, the live stuff, um, the Maiden cover, the Wasted Years cover, that's a song that's become like a staple for us in our live show. And the fans, especially in
Mhm.
Europe, it's always uh they're always looking forward to that song. We close the set with that. And so we had a couple of different recordings of that, but the one we ended up using was from the recording that ended up being Live Darkness, which was in Cleveland. We saved
Okay.
that song. We played it that night, and people knew, when it came out, they're like, "Where's Wasted Years?" like, yeah, we just want to save it. And plus there's, logistically trying to get, permission and all that kind of stuff. Plus the record, was already, it's a
Yeah.
triple vinyl and a double CD and all that. So like, let's just save that for something.
Well, that's funny
So
because on my notes of that, some of my notes, crowd was like a Maiden show. It sounded like you're in Rock in Rio. An awesome version. The guitar was spot on,
thank you.
and the solo was in the pocket and nice pick slide coming out of the solo.
Oh, right on, man.
Yeah, that's
Cool.
my, whenever I listen to this, I'm a fan, but I'm listening to it. But yeah, the one thing I've noticed about Night Demon is maybe the music has a chance to breathe, but it's the production is solid. It's right there, man. It's like you
Yeah.
put it on and you could tell a Night Demon song. So
Right.
yeah, the Wasted Years. Well, we might as well go down my list of the cover observation.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so the Maiden, that's a great song. That's an Adrian Smith song. That's a Bruce Dickinson song.
Yeah.
That's those two write some good shit.
It's just a great sing along, and also it's one of the few songs that you could pull off with one guitar player.
Mhm.
There's no harmony stuff going on. It's kind of a simple song. It's kind of like one of their pop songs. I to be honest with you, when I first heard that, I remember I used to work at this little restaurant that my parents owned, and my buddy used to play that album all the time. Seventh Son of a Seventh Son. I was kind of like, all right, I don't know. That's the album, right? That's songs on that album.
Well, fact check. Somewhere in Time.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm a Maiden fan, but I'm not that crazy of a Maiden fan. Sorry.
Okay, that's why I'm here.
Whatever.
Yeah.
But for some reason, that song kind of seemed like, all right, they're trying to hit the radio thing a little too much. But now that we play it, it's like I have a whole new love for it, and like it really means a lot to us as far as like the lyrical content too. It just hits home.
Well, it's a precursor of, like I said, Bruce Dickinson, the singer, and Adrian Smith collaborating, because on that album they did "Stranger in a Strange Land," and those songs are different. And then they got together 4 or 5 years later with Roy Z when they did the whole Bruce stuff. So let's see. Let's touch base on the. I wasn't familiar with. Believe it or not, I'm not the biggest Thin Lizzy fan. So I really didn't have any. Yeah. Hey, yeah. Well, I'll admit.
All right.
It.
Well, you got me on the Maiden thing. I'll get you on the Thin Lizzy thing. So
yeah. Well, I'm going to hear shit because a couple of the guys that host the show with me, they're big Thin Lizzy fans. And
well, hey man, it's never too late to rediscover that band. So yeah.
Let's see. So and then I wasn't familiar with Fast Bikes.
Yeah, well, that's a very, very, very obscure song. That came from a friend of the band's. Before I was in the band, this guy used to make mixtapes for the guys on cassette because he knew that they had a cassette player in the van.
Okay.
And he'd send them out, and on tour they would listen to these cassettes because you can never get a good radio station, and and there was this band on there called Le Griff, and there's only an EP that they did in the early 80s, and that's kind of it, and they never really did anything, but this song just kind of stuck with the guys for a while. And when I joined the band, they would play it, hey, check this out, like they were talking about covering the song like way before I was around. So when it came down to it, and it's funny because I don't think we really we always record covers, every time we do an album or something, just to have, whether it's going to go on the record or we're saving stuff for some compilation later on. And that one just kind of came up like we were doing something else. And I think we recorded that and the Thin Lizzy thing at the same time. I remember we did that here at my studio in Ventura, and it was cool to like dig into it. And it's kind of a fun song, it's just not a real serious kind of content. It's just like fucking get on your bike and cruise. And,
the Scorpions connection. First of all, great band, and I go way back with the Scorpions.
Yeah,
it was just 50 years on Lonesome Crow the other day. Believe that shit. Michael Schenker at 16. But so you got to play with Uli, and how did that relationship? come about. Now, Jarvis was on the show last year when
Right.
and he was telling about it, but let's go more into detail. How did that come all about?
Well, yeah, I mean, he's the one that made that happen, to be honest. Like, we're really good friends with his booking agent, sort of tour manager, this
Okay.
guy out in Germany. And there was some kind of thing where Jarvis hooked him up with something and really helped him out, and he kind of owed him a favor. And and jokingly but seriously, he was like, "Look, you got to
Yeah.
get me Uli. We got to do it.
Yeah.
I want Uli to play with us somewhere, sometime. So that's what I'm gonna hold you to." It's like, and it's very German. Like, no, this is not possible. There's no way. He doesn't play with anybody. Like it's Uli and his band, or that's it. He
Yeah.
doesn't do that. Doesn't do that. And okay, well, okay, kept at it. He kept at it. And obviously we like said, well, we'll pay him to whatever we need.
Yeah.
Like, let's do it. We're gonna do this really special show in Hamburg. It's a kind of a little festival that we started putting on over there, and it'd be amazing to do it there. And so finally he agreed to it. And but there was no communication between us and Willie at all. He had never seen us. We had never met him before. So it was like basically even the week before, we weren't sure if he was going to do it. The day of, it was like, we're sound checking. It's like, all right, well, can he come for sound check? No, no, no. He'll just be there later. He'll be there in time for the set. We're like, fuck, okay. So we just try to prepare. We were already playing in trance.
Yeah.
We had started playing that. That was another thing we started throwing on our live set here and there. So we were prepared for it, and so he told us, like, well, just learn, make sure you know the version that he does, live. Watch some videos on YouTube,
Yeah.
because it's a little bit different from how we did it. So we did, and then about an hour before our set time, here he comes. He gets there, and so we're just tripping, like, fuck, what's going on? Is he going to show up? Like,
Well, I got to ask you, Jarvis is the bass player, so he could stay in his lane. Dusty's the drummer, but you're the guitarist. So what do? You're like, yeah, I can listen to it, but now you're on stage with Uli.
and yeah, and all I can do is sit back and stay out of his way.
Yeah.
He's the master. No, it was kind of a little nerve-wracking, because at first, I was like, okay, well, there's a harmony guitar, there's a harmony guitar thing in the solo. I'm like, well, which one does he play, or which one should I play? Because I know what I do when I play it with Night Demon. It's just the one guitar player. But so he was there, and he came backstage, and I sat with him and guitared out, man. We geeked out on guitar together. It was fucking the most amazing thing. And it was amazing for him to tell me that I was playing a part of it wrong. So that was awesome. I'm good with that.
Well, yeah.
You Master Yoda, tell me more,
Well, I have another question. Sometimes the manager or the management or publicist will talk on behalf of the artist. But once the artist finds out, was that really Uli's MO? Once he found out to play, when he went, oh, you guys should have called me. I would have loved to have done this a year ago. Like, it's the publicist and the manager's job to protect.
Yeah. Right. I don't know. I think he was pleasantly surprised with us, because when he first showed up, it was funny, because he started talking to us like, so what's your background? Like, are you guys a German? He thought we were a German band for some reason. And then when he found out, and then he said, oh, I'm glad you're not a German band. I don't know what that's about, but and then we told him we're from California, and Southern California. And then he opened up like, oh, I love California, and this and that. And so we were starting to get him loosening. He was loosening up with us. And then, I remember we hit the stage, and I looked over, and he was watching us. The first 3 or 4 songs, he was standing there kind of hidden, because it was a surprise too. Nobody knew. The other bands that were backstage saw him show up. They're like, what the fuck? What's Uli doing here? And so we kept it a secret, but it was really cool to see him watching us a little bit and like smiling, and I'd look over at him, because he was on my side of the stage, and just kind of like give him the guitar thing. Hey, check it out,
That must have eased your mind a little bit. You're like, all right, you know.
Yeah, and then he
Yeah.
went back and hung out, and then he came out and did his thing, and then afterwards, it went really well, and I got him to smile a couple of times when we did the guitar thing together. It was like the approval, and then after the show, he was like, "So, you guys are really good. I hear some influences. I wonder where you got some of that from." I said, "Yeah, you know,
Yeah. So,
of course, we're
so
influenced, man."
did he give you like one of those roach clips he puts on his guitar, like your own very own little?
Oh yeah, my own feather or something,
Yeah.
like, here you go, my young one,
Yeah, you're part of the club. But
Yeah.
so how
No,
many times?
it was good enough to do that. And then
Yeah.
we got to see him. He played here in Ventura a month later, and we went and he remembered us and
Yeah.
invited us backstage. So that was like the crowning, like, okay, we're in, we're
Cool.
good.
Cool. So you have two. You had top of the bill too, but that's not with Uli. That's just you as the band.
No, he's on it. Those are the two songs we did with
Oh,
him.
okay, okay. Because I remember uh Armand, I'm not sure where I've heard all this even before, I got the advance, but I remember I think I even saw the video for the Entrance.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
there's a video of it.
Top of the Bill. But both those, I love Top of the Bill, especially from Tokyo Tapes. And this
Yeah.
version, what are my notes on that? Old feel with new musicianship, killer drums. Um, Night Demon, Armand put his own spin on the guitar. But then well, maybe it's my copy, it faded out.
Yeah. So what happened is we didn't have, for whatever reason, just planning and getting the show together, we didn't have a proper audio recording system set up.
Yeah.
So all the audio that you're hearing on those recordings are from the multiple cameras that were set up. So I took all those different live feeds and mixed them together and tried to kind of get the best blend of everything. But the fucking cameras ran out at the end of that song before it was over.
Before it was
So it
over.
was kind of one of those decisions we were like, well, fuck, man, should we even use this? But it was long enough to where, you had because that big solo in there, that's him.
Yeah.
So it goes all the way through that, and then it kind of like goes to the re-intro and outro. We're like, okay, I think it's okay to fade out there.
That's funny that you say that, because when I'm listening to it, I'm like, man, it sounds like Yuli. And I was doing like three different things, but I'm listening to it. And then
Oh, that's him. Yeah.
then I went into the file from Nikki, and I'm like, oh, well, no shit, because it's Yuli. It sounds like
It
Yuli
is
because
now,
it is
yeah.
Yuli. But
Yeah.
yeah, so those covers and those live tracks, that's worth admission alone. But let's talk
Yeah.
about the Night Demon originals. Now, these are 5 standalone singles. Were they old songs that you were releasing in 2020, or are they fairly were they like leftovers from what was the last album, 2017? What
Yeah.
was the origins of these songs?
They're just basically all songs that were bridging the gap between
Okay.
the last original record and what we're going to be coming up with later this year. Some of them do go back a couple of years from like the initial starting writing of the riffs, and like, the Empire's Fall, that song, there's like 5 different versions of that we went over here and there, different
Mm-hmm.
lyrical content, different riffs, arrangements. That song changed a lot. And then the other ones just kind of came from, either I had some riff tape kind of things that we would
Yep.
trade back and forth, and like, hey, I like that riff or something. We just get in the room and work it out. But for the most part, those were all written within the last, probably between 2018 and 2020 or so.
It's fairly new. It's not.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of like, okay, well, this is the start of the new record, whatever that's going to be. But, we've been so busy, it was like very sporadic when we get a chance to get home and work on stuff. Because, you come home after a bunch of touring, the last thing you want to do right away is get back in the studio. And, so we kind of.
Yeah, decompress and catch your breath and
then it's like, oh, we got to go out again. Shit. Now we got to, yeah. So.
Let's see. Some of my
came about, just like peace.
Some of my notes,
Go ahead.
Emperor's Fall.
Yeah.
Dueling guitars are killer. Great song. Song gets in, gets out. You really don't need to go more than 350 in terms of the time. You know, it
I
was
think it's
cool.
more like 250 actually.
Yeah, actually, you're
It's a
right.
short one.
You're right. I remember that now. Kill the Pain. Sounds old, 80s-ish, but new. These are just my notes.
Sure.
Then, like I said earlier at the beginning, music breathes. It's not overbearing. There's not a lot going on. It's just enough. So those two
Cool.
tracks, Are You Out There and Visteria. I just have good shit, man. That's exactly what I wrote. Good shit. So, you know, it's Night Demon. It is. It's like that old school, the old school traditional heavy metal, what you guys subscribe to, and you know, it's good stuff. What's the plans? New stuff besides this? What's the plan for new material in 2022?
Well, we have a whole new record, a full length that'll be coming out in the fall.
Oh, good.
So you got this. This will be the kind of the bridge for that,
Yeah.
you know, kind of the kind of get people hyped up for some new stuff. And then, you know, we're supposed to start touring around May, you know, doing a bunch of stuff in Europe with Midnight. We're going to do a co-headliner with them, do some of the festivals over the summer. We'll be home for a little bit towards the end of the summer, and then hit the road again around October, I think, September, October. There's the thing is, like, there's plans, but things are always changing.
Yeah.
But the record definitely is coming out in the fall, because we have to turn it in by a certain time so they can get the vinyl pressed in time. Because it's like takes 8 months or something nowadays to get a fucking record pressed. It's insane.
Oh, Chain Supply. It's all bullshit. It's not even
Crazy, man.
Yeah. The last time I saw Night Demon was in Syracuse, New York, when you're on that Raven tour. And
whoa, shit. Okay, well, I wasn't around then. So
oh, you weren't in the band at that point?
No, that was like their first big tour.
Yeah, 16, 15, 14.
I think 16 or 15. Yeah, that was an early one. Yeah.
Yeah, it was cold as hell. Well, you weren't there, but there was a snowstorm, and
I've heard the stories. Yeah.
yeah. But you know, I really wasn't that familiar with the band, and what sold me on it was when the band came out and Jarvis had that Flying V bass. And the only other time I saw a Flying V bass was, I think, the Raven guys.
Raven.
And
totally,
and well, John always has that hammer with the whammy bar, but so I was, you know, became a fan then, and then obviously everything. And I'm old school. I remember Sirith Ungol from back in the day, and
oh yeah,
you know, it's just, I'm in my early 50s, but I've been a metalhead all these years. So let's see. We do a show segment on Metal Mayhem ROC. It's called the Mount Rushmore of Metal. And seeing that you're a guitarist, seeing that you're from California, and today happens to be the 44th year of the release of Van Halen 1.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Now, I would put you at maybe 35, your age?
Yeah, I'll take that.
Okay. Well, what's your take on Eddie Van Halen and Van Halen 1? And without going too far deep into the whole, you know, guitar playing, what's your take on Van Halen 1?
You know, Van Halen for me came a little bit later. Like, I remember when I was first getting into guitar stuff, you know, late 80s, you know, when I first got into it. For me, Guns N' Roses was like the band that really got me going, you know, at first. And then I found like there was like Megadeth and more of the thrashy kind of bands that got me more into the heavier kind of stuff. And for me, Van Halen, at that time, I looked at them as like kind of a cheesy leftover of like the hair metal thing, you know? I always respected Eddie's playing, you know, but some of the goofy David Lee Roth thing was like, you know, I wanted my guys to be fucking tough and with leather and drunk and smoking cigarettes, you know, which he did. But later on, you know, I started to get into it because, you know, you run out of like, okay, well, I've listened to these albums enough, and now I need to really get into the shit that everybody else is talking about and see what it's about. And then I just immediately fell in love, and then to a point where You know, I have one of his signature. I have the stripe, the red and white striped guitar. And
The
I've played their
Frankenstrat.
songs. Yeah, and like cover bands like that I will do sometimes. And so I've really dove into it. And yeah, just the thing that I love mostly with his playing and that record is the experimentation and how he kind of created a whole new sort of playing style and how he was always tinkering with his guitars and the tones and fucking with electronics and the amps. Like I'm into that, you know,
Oh yeah, yeah. He's
that kind of thing. So, and then when I realized like when that album came out and what else was going on, I had a whole new, you know, love for it and respect, you know, because shit, that was what, late 77.
78. But yeah, you're right. And I asked you that
Yeah.
because um the just he
Yeah.
holds a couple patents on technical stuff and those amps and all the stuff that he does. I don't know if you're going to be able to see this, Armand, but
Yeah. Fuck,
that
it's great.
that's 1980, and that's how cool David Lee Roth was.
Is he sitting on the amps or is he actually in the air?
No,
Like
he's
float?
sitting on the amps. This was the 1980 Invasion tour,
Dude, that's
and
so awesome.
Dave, now granted he is silly and all that, but
Yeah.
he comes from a time when he was the shit. He used to be cooler
Oh
than
no, I agree. I'm all into it now. I'm all yeah,
yeah.
I'm sold. I'll take Dave over fucking Sammy any day.
Oh well, that's
I
Van
think
Halen.
Sammy's a better singer, technically, but Dave's a front man. And
Yeah.
Van Halen is that mixture, that play between him and Eddie and you know, fucking that cool, really great stage presence thing that a lot of but nobody has anymore, you know?
No, it's too bad because from a lost time, when we were
Yeah.
growing up, it was just uh, it was it was it. And the golden age. That's what we call it, the golden age. So
Yeah. Because, you know, so think about like when I was learning guitar, the big, you know, what it was 88, 89. So the Van Halen stuff that was the Hagar stuff. So that's what I was hearing on the radio. And I was like, keyboards. And I was like, you know, I wasn't
yeah.
exposed to the early stuff. You know, there was radio, that's it at that time, you know, and whatever they played is what they played. And that's what you heard, you know.
Well, let's see. You grew up in Ventura, California.
Southern California, I grew up a little more close around LA when I was around that age.
Okay, so
So
you know that
which we're only an hour, it's only an hour away,
but
Ventura. So, you know,
the Bay Area scene back in 87, 88, that was completely different than
totally.
Sunset Strip 87, 88.
Oh
Where
yeah,
did
for sure.
were you on the Exodus side of things or were you on the Faster Pussycat side of things?
Oh, definitely the Exodus side,
Okay,
you know.
cool, cool.
Even though, you know, like I said, I did Guns N' Roses was huge for me and they were the Sunset bands, but they had a harder edge than all those other bands, you
They
know.
were different. GNR was,
Yeah, yeah.
the GNR
So
was
obviously
great.
finding Metallica and all that, that's how I heard about all the other, you know, the Bay kind of scene and all that, got into that world and everything. So
What's your take on Metallica? I got into them on Kill 'Em All when it came out. I'm up here in Rochester, New York, and they recorded the first album here, right here in Rochester. Oh, you're.
yeah, it's fucking on call here.
Oh, so
uh,
we've done specials here. I've done interviews with second chair engineers that did the album. I
oh
know
wow.
guys that hung out with Metallica. I've seen pictures. The pipeline in Rochester goes way deep. That Megaforce pipeline with
Yeah.
Anthrax and Overkill, Testament, they are all up here. And so we have a rich history. So I consider Metallica, old friends in the sense like all my old bands. I still listen to them. Everyone's like, oh, yeah,
Yeah.
I can't get past,
I
Master or
know.
but as
Yeah.
a musician and a fan, what's your take on the band Metallica at this point?
Well, that's, you know, number two or fighting for the number one slot for me growing up with GNR and Megadeth and all those
Mm-hmm.
kind of bands. So no, I think probably my first exposure to them was like the Black Album and stuff like that, just because of my age and
Yeah.
what I saw on TV. and I was reading all the guitar mags at the time, and they were always in there. And I was looking at these albums, Ride the Lightning, Kill 'Em All. I think for me, I think the first album I got was Ride the Lightning, and it's always my favorite to this day. Like that's my favorite fucking record, man. And no, you can't deny it, man. I mean, I know like we all have opinions about what they did after the Black Album, which for me, I'm good with, you know, I can handle give me put load and
Yep.
reload into one record and I'm fine. And then after that, I just kind of lost interest. And some of the newer stuff when they kind of try to go back to the thrashy shit, there's some cool shit in there, but it's just weird, man. It's hard to say because what the fuck am I gonna be doing? I'm their age if I was doing it for as long as they were. It's
Yeah.
hard to like say like, oh, they shouldn't do this or shouldn't do that. It's like, dude, be in those shoes. Been a band for 40 plus years and your only band. It's
Yeah.
crazy that James and Lars and I guess Kirk was in Exodus before, but that was their only band
Yep.
forever, and it still is their only band,
And the
that they've
thing
ever been in.
And the thing is, you can't write an album like a 22-year-old when you're in your mid 50s.
No,
You
never.
know too
Yeah,
much. Think
yeah,
each of those early albums, those were their ceilings. The progression from Kill 'Em All to Ride
yeah.
to Master. And unfortunately, after Cliff went, today's Cliff Burton's 60th birthday.
Wow, today's a great day to be doing this.
Yeah, yeah, it is. There's a lot of shit going on today. But so that era of Metallica, unfortunately, died with Cliff because of the yin with the yang, and then you had And Justice for All, and then they had to do the Black
Yeah,
Album. I think they're a great band. I still think they're a great band. I still love Iron Maiden. Maybe it's
yeah,
I like the new material. It's that's why I'm open to new material on bands. So
yeah.
who have you toured with? Have you ever toured with any of these bands? You ever have a chance to meet them as
I
a
mean, no, that's definitely one of those bucket list things. We've gotten close with the Maiden thing. We've shared a publicist with them.
okay.
Uh, uh, Nico McBrain has been handed our album by a friend of ours, when he met him. And we have this song Made in Hell, which is all the lyrics are based off of Iron Man's song titles.
All
So
right.
if you don't know that one, check that out.
Made in
It's the
Hell.
Made in Hell, like Maiden,
Yep.
spelled Maiden, Hell. It's on Darkness Remains.
Okay, cool.
And so, but with the Metallica camp and all that, I mean, man, like, look, we're disappointed every time we see them go on tour, and it's like, fucking, what's the baby Zeppelin band that's out there, Greta
Greta.
Van Fleet or
Yeah.
something, We're like, we went actually, Jarvis and I went to San Francisco for their 40th, the 40th anniversary shows.
You saw some of those shows?
Yeah, we saw both of them. We were there. But, they had a fucking DJ open up the set every night. And we're like, what? Yeah, he was playing kind of some metal, but doing like mixing in beats and this and that. And we're just like, we're right here, man. We could go up and play 40 minutes real quick. Just
Yeah.
let us do our thing, like, I don't know, or bring fucking Raven up or bring Satan with you guys, If, James has been seen wearing like a battle vest and he's got Satan's fucking logo and Raven and all these bands.
It's got 3 of those.
Yeah. And like, well, why don't you guys bring those guys out, man, and expose them to these people, these new audiences that probably don't know about your past. They can do it. It's not like they need any band to bring an audience for them, It's like,
yeah, and it's not like they need a strong opening to sell tickets.
yeah,
And you're right. If they brought like a legendary band, like an Overkill, a Raven or something,
Diamond Head. I mean, come on,
those bands have roots, and these young kids, they've read all the stories. Armand, the interesting thing, like when in Metallica in concert, and James will say, he'll have that little speech. how many of you, this is your first Metallica show and you
Yeah.
hear the roar? And
Oh yeah.
in this band, there's people that actually, there's chapters of fans that don't like anything pre Black Album. You know,
Yeah.
they don't like anything pre-load. And, you know, the old gray hairs are like, fuck that. But it's true. It's their time, those listeners, they grew up on it. So,
And a lot of those guys are Night Demon fans, which is awesome. We love them.
well, Night Demon, you know, that should be that.
And I love to argue with them about the later stuff and tell them that they're wrong. That's actually good. Oh, it's fun.
Yeah, I know. Tell us, share us about the festivals you're involved with. I saw through show research. Now those Euro festivals are just completely out of control. The amount of bands there, and
Yeah.
it's like, man, I'm jealous. Why can't, you know, we get, no disrespect, but you know, we get these, you know, 80 has been festivals here with 3 versions of LA Guns and
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
um
Yeah.
now, did you put a festival together? You mentioned earlier that there's a French festival. Elaborate on that. What is that all about?
Well, there's a thing called Frost and Fire, which is named after the Sirathungal album.
Sirith, yep.
And basically, Jarvis put that festival together in Ventura as a way to bring. It was the first show for Sirathungal, so he built sort of a fest around it.
Yep.
And then it went so well. This was probably, I think, maybe 2015 was the first one, because I wasn't in the band yet. And then it became a yearly thing. So for 3, I think there was 3 or 4. I think there was 4 total. Every year we did this thing, and we did that festival that you're talking about, you know, missing here in
Yeah.
Ventura. And we had bands, all the old cats from Europe. All people came from all over the world. We had all the underground bands play, you know, Sirathungal and bands like that. And so we've kind of taken a couple of years off from that, but we did like a smaller version of that in London a few years ago. You know, Ungle had never played in London, so it was a great way to
Yeah.
get them over there. And now we're going to do another one in Ireland this year.
All
It's
right.
called Frost and Fireland. So that's a good one to look forward to. It's going to be really awesome. I'm really excited about that.
Last time I talked with Jarvis, he gave me some heavy metal homework, and I followed through with it. I'm a big,
All right.
I'm a big fan of Enforcer now.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, you know, I had Olaf on the show. You know, they're in heavy rotation, and several other bands. Are there any any up and coming bands that you're listening to, or and what are some of your? You've mentioned some of your all time favorites. How deep in the back metal catalog do you go? Like Merciful Fate, Exciter, or are you more?
Oof. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know, man. I'm kind of like, for me, I've got Thin Lizzy, like going deep into that kind of stuff, more the 70s stuff, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like for me that the 80s thrash, I've got it covered with, you know, Megadeth and fucking all those kind of bands, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Like those are the top of the heap there. And like, I don't, you know, it's funny. I don't search stuff out as much because, you know, my other gig here is recording bands. So I'm constantly working with people here, and I'm constantly listening to what I'm working on. I don't have enough time. I don't have any time to listen to music anymore. Unless I'm traveling, that's when I get into shit. I'm like, Jarvis, send me some stuff, you know, I'm like, because he's really good at like with the underground stuff, and he'll let me know, hey, check this out and all that. But one of the newer bands that I love that I've worked with a few times is Bewitcher.
Okay, I've heard of them.
Yeah, I did their last 2 records, and so, you know, that was kind of like close to my heart. And just love those guys. They got the 3-piece thing, you know, like us, and powerful, and you know.
One of my notes, and I didn't say it when I went through this on Kill the Pain, I said, sounds a little bit like Spirit Adrift. Are you familiar? Are you familiar with Spirit Adrift?
No, but that's a Thin Lizzy song, so.
Spirit Adrift?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Well, they're from Arizona. They've had like 4 or 5 albums. Last year's Enlightened in Eternity. Nate Garrison, multi-instrumentalist. It's a great band. They subscribe to the same formula. That's why I
Okay.
made the connection. I'm like, hey, it sounds like Spirit. And,
All right.
it's a compliment, but I didn't know if you followed
Well,
up on that.
it's good that I can say no to that, because then it's like, well, then it came out of just natural coincidence that
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
a, you know what I mean? Sound of things. But I'll put that in my list now. Thank you for that.
And you didn't answer on Merciful Fate.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I learned about them through Metallica,
Oh,
you know,
that's
doing the
true.
cover songs. And then when
Yeah,
I go back to it, the riffs are killer. I can kind of go, I can take King Diamond's voice. I can leave King Diamond's voice a little bit. You know, there's only so much I can handle,
yeah.
but the fucking music's awesome. And some of the greatest drumming, fucking the master, you
Kim
know?
Ruiz. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you.
So,
Well, that Kim's way at the beginning. Mickey
yeah.
D. Mickey
Even
D.
Mickey D. Yeah, Mickey D
Yeah.
was more what I was thinking of. Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you one thing with the whole King Diamond, the singing.
Yeah.
I got into Merciful Fate when the demo came out and Melissa and Don't Break the Oath and
Yeah. Yeah.
not
Yeah.
bragging, but we saw those tours. And it's different as King Diamond went solo, and it did. The vocals got a little different. But that early stuff with Michael Denner and Hank Sherman and Kim Ruiz and King and Timmy Grabber, the late Timmy Grabber, that stuff is just it's worth revisiting if you didn't really get into it. But
Okay. Yeah.
and
Cool.
Jarvis will attest to that. So
Yeah. He will.
yeah.
Yeah. I know.
All right. Well, hey, Armand. Again, the album, the compilation album, coming out tomorrow, Tuesday or Friday, March 25th. Where could people find it, and what's the best way to follow Night Demon? Just search Night Demon.
Yeah. Night Demon, heavy metal. You know, if you search that, you'll find our website. We sell everything through the website now. You know, we have
Yeah.
our own, we do all our merch in-house now.
Oh, good.
So you're not going to run into, shipping delays and, losing shit anymore. I mean, unless, at some point it's out of our hands, but everything's going through us now. So you can get everything here online. Yeah, it'll be in whatever stores are around. I guess there'll be a few copies here and there. If there's any, if you got a local record store that carries new stuff, you'll find it there. But yeah, you'll find it all in all your online outlets and everything.
Okay, I'm going to have you stay on the line right after we exit right here. There's a couple things I
Okay.
want to ask offline, and I don't trust hitting pause or anything. So,
For sure.
all right, man, thanks for your time, and we will catch up with you soon. Okay.
Right on. Rock and roll.
I forgot to send the copy to Nikki to have you do some ID drops.
Okay.
Can I, seeing you got a studio, can I email you the copy and have you just send back some files?
No problem. Yeah. For sure.
You could give me an email. You could send through Nikki. I respect your privacy, whatever you want to do.
No, we can do direct. That's fine. You want to write it down?
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
So it's armandrecords@gmail.com. ARMAND. And then records, RECORDS @gmail.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll send you out the copy. Just send it back, MP3, WAV, whatever's easier.
Cool.
The raw file, I could treat it myself.
Sure. I got to
know,
actually do some commentary for the podcast then here pretty soon. So I'll
I started listening to that. And what we do here, besides the podcast every week, sometimes 3 episodes a week, we also do a live radio show on Metal Devastation Radio. Maybe familiar with that outfit, Zach Moonshine. They're
send
big.
me that link and all that.
Yeah, I will. I'll send it all in the email. It'll all be in my signature line on my email. And so what I'll do is I'll repurpose part of this. Perfect. And we repurpose everywhere, and we'll
yeah, that's fine, man. Keep it going. Right on.
You coming? You coming? Are you coming to the States? Is there
yeah, fuck, man. We were supposed to do we were gonna be hitting your area. I know we were gonna do some upstate, a gig up there. But it was gonna be us and Satan for a couple of weeks in April. But with all the shit that they have to deal with now and visas and all the crap from England, it's just gonna cost them way too much. It's not worth it for them to do it. So we had to let that go. But in the fall, before the record comes out, around that time, we have a huge US run planned. So yeah, because we need to do it. It's been too long, man. It's been too
Yeah.
long.
Yeah. You know, we don't get anything over here anymore. Not just
Yeah.
Rochester, but like, you know, anywhere. You know,
Yeah.
you get sick of the big shows. You just want to get into a
No, and that's the
sweaty
thing. I don't
club.
go, when drivers bought the tickets for the Metallica thing, I was kind of like, oh, cool, but I don't know. And sure enough, when we were there, I was like, God, this is fucking lame. But we
Well,
made the
it's,
best out of it.
yeah. All right, my man. Have a great day and look for the email.
Thanks, John.
Okay.
Take
See
care.
ya.